lot of cops, a lot of agents. There's no way out once you start that path. I can give you examples all day long, James.
Right, and you know, I don't know, it may be the misconception of my reality, but it seems as though a lot of the foreign policemen, they're on the take because I think it's a lot of temptation for them, and I think a lot of them, it's there in their face, maybe like you're saying, the drugs or the money, and I just think it's hard for them to, you know, walk the straight line. And from your point of view, being there on the front lines, am I correct with that, or tell me?
No, you're absolutely correct. I'm not going to focus on a particular country, but I have been at bars, I've been at places, I have seen young girls dancing on the stage. They were so young they had no hair yet. I've seen that. I'm sitting there with cops, and as a D.E.A. agent working with foreign governments. I've seen that, witnessed my own eyes. Have I witnessed immorality come to sexual, outside the marriage many, many times? But when you say under the take, you've got to realize there's no excuses for it. But when a police officer in a country, they're making, making very few pennies, making very few dollars. You know, as agents, as law enforcement police officers, we get paid very, very well. Okay, there's no need for us to cross that line. If we do, it's because we don't have enough. Okay, in other words, we don't have enough to buy the things that we like to have that takes a lot of money, or even come to sex. A lot of that sexual thing is it's just knowing that you can have. Down in countries that I worked or been to, they don't call it rape, James and Gary. Up here, they do call it rape. Down there, it's just a way of life, and the women are very smart about it. Okay, very, very smart about it, what they were going to do and so on. Just like I mentioned, some of the women carried Vaseline. First time, I asked, I thought, why are women carrying so much Vaseline? Vaseline is not for the lips. It's for them because most of the time when something happens, they want to make sure they have some Vaseline before they get into a sexual encounter with law enforcement and so on. Like I said, I lay it out in the books. I try to explain it in my own language. I am not a writer, James. I write the facts. That's why the books are true stories. It's a habit that if I go after someone, I write the facts. I don't deal in hearsay. I don't deal in gossip or hearsay. A little bit of intelligence, but it's all facts. And these two books, they are the facts, and so on. So does it go on? Absolutely. But don't believe everything you watch on the movies of Breaking Bad or the Scarface. I met guys in Colombia. I met a guy one time that had a face that was scarred, and they called him Scarred Face because he loved the movie and so on. But it's so to answer your question, yeah, it is for real. It does happen.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that. One quick question. Do you think that we can ever overcome the obstacle of the inconsistencies of our individual states regarding the punishment that they put out on offenders for drug sales and things like that? Okay,
here we go. And I'll tell you what I would do. People brought that question up before. How do you do that? And I'll be very blunt with you. You kill the trafficker. You kill him. Okay? When you take someone that's killing other people with, they know that the drug is fentanyl, and they know they're killing people, remember this. I think over 64,000 people died in 1 year. Okay? When a person is knowing they're trafficking drugs, just like James talked about his son, okay, 40 years old and meth, that meth came somewhere. Wherever it came from, that person should be responsible for that drug. Okay? Prisons are not going to do it anymore. Okay? We're overpopulated. It takes thousands of dollars to take care of one prisoner. A lot of money. And of course, while he's in prison, he's going to have all these rights. Go to college, become a lawyer. Listen, that's a fact. I worked as a correctional officer. I felt like I was the prisoner working into an environment like that. And the ones that do very well are usually a third world country. They get caught in the United States. They're living a better life in their prisons than they would live anywhere else outside the country. And but anyway, you kill the trafficker. You take James. I don't know if you have a son or a daughter, and someone gave them a bad drug, and it kills them. It takes their life. Okay, I think that individual that done that to your family just forfeited their life. I think you should be the one looking at that individual right in his eyes, okay? But you know what? We have a jury, and the jury is all very liberal. A lot of them think that CSI stuff, they think you've got to prosecute them in a fast way or whatever. It doesn't happen that. Most of the trials in California, I can assure you, it doesn't make the trial, okay, because the jury, all it takes one, okay, takes one to say no. Hung jury or just say no, and there you go. Taxpayers' money out the window. So that's why most cases are pled. That's why a lot of people go to prison. They don't plead to the murder charge, but they plead they can show you where the bodies are, okay? And they go in prison. They live a comfortable life, okay? They make it comfortable. I mean, don't get me wrong now. There's a difference between a jail and a prison. There's a difference between state prison and federal prison, okay? If you're going to commit a crime, you want to go federal prison because now you're with the big boys. When I say big boys, it's the federal prison, okay? And it has a lot more to offer, okay, of people that's in prison or the state prison and so on. If you really want to see a prison, go down to South America or go to Europe. You'll see what prisons are all about, and most people don't want to go back to them.
Thank you.
I like the Chinese prisons, the way they, if you're found guilty, you don't have appeals or anything, and they hate drug dealers more than anything. And they have a good thing going. What they do is they have a medical team waiting there by the wall, and they take you out to the wall. Again, you have no appeals. You're found guilty of trafficking drugs. The judge passes the sentence, within a very short period of time. You're taken to this wall. Here's this medical team with all their tools. They shoot you in the head, and they sell your organs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a picture of that. Believe it or not, it was smuggled, and I have it where they shot this girl with a rifle, blew her brains out. But of course, I didn't see what they were doing to her. But most countries that do that, whether it's Iran or some of the Middle East, but our country is a great compassion country. When I'm talking about, I'm not making a mockery of it, but we are. There's the other half, the right side of this country believes in the due process and treating everybody with compassion, with justice. But then we've got another left out there. They don't give a son of a gun. They'll destroy your property, destroy your home, and so on. But I love to have the opportunity. I keep thinking about your son, and Gary, I'd like to someday to talk to him. I mean, there's a reason why he's still alive, even though he's involved in meth and he's 40 years old.
I can tell you, you know what? I haven't physically seen him in the last 5 years because we don't get along. But I can honestly tell you, he's living on the streets in a tent when he's not in jail.
Well, when you say you don't get along, you're wrong about that. He just don't get along with you. Your arms are always there, buddy. Your arms are open for him, and he's your son. And I've seen that with parents. They no matter if they say they hate their kid or whatever, but if their kid come back or their son or daughter, and they just give another opportunity. And they really
I'm going to say this real quick. When he was growing up, okay, I went from being a multimillionaire to nothing. Okay, I owned a computer manufacturing company, and back in the 80s, computers took a big dive, and I lost everything. I didn't go to banks to borrow money. It was my own money. I lost everything. We went from a huge house to a mobile home. The one I told you about, my landlord was doing stuff. I, one day, was looking out the window, and I saw my son with the neighbor's son with a wagon. I see a TV on it. I see a stereo system. I see all this stuff on it, and they're taking it to underneath a tree. And I watched that. Then I see him a few minutes later with a whole bunch of stuff. Well, I realized really quick they broke in somebody's house and they were stealing stuff. I called the police, and I pressed charges. I got the owner of the press charges. And, he went into youth detention for a period of time. To this day, he holds that against me. He goes, "You're not a good dad. You turned your own son in." And I go, "Yes, because if you're going to steal I don't condone, being a thief and all this stuff. Then you're going to have to pay the price. And that's tough love. But you know what? To this day, if I had to make that decision again, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's what I can honestly say. You one last thing about this. They put him through. Went through a year going through drug court, and he failed it, and he failed it, and he failed. Finally, they said, "Okay, we'll put you in a drug rehab, and if you can go to this drug program across the state, we will, expunge your record." You think I drove 7 hours to take him to it. He was there one day. He had his girlfriend pick him up. And that, what do you do? Okay. You might love somebody more than anything in the world, but there's a point, it's not right. It's just not right.
No. Yeah, but don't ever give up prayer. Don't ever give up.
I don't. I love him. I love him like you wouldn't believe. I just
Absolutely.
don't condone him selling and using drugs. That's simple as that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, every day's a blessing for him. He's still here on this earth, whether he's living in a tent or under a bridge or whatever. Just like my brother, he's struggling every day. He's trying now, or my nieces and so on. It's something. It's a battle, and once again, I call it the path of the devil. We travel the path of the devil, but sometimes with the grace of God, He brings us back home again. But we got to have the will to do it, and that's the only way we're going to do it.
Well, everybody, again, I want to say you should check out this 2 books. One is Fighting My Greatest Enemy, Myself. It's a true story by Larry Hardren, former D.E.A. agent. And the name of your second book?
It's Camino Diablo. It's Path of the Devil. But Gary, before we go off, let me tell you, I really appreciate you and even James when he came on, of you giving me the opportunity to come on the radio. I don't care if I sell a book or not sell a book. It's just an honor to come on and share a true story of my events and my faith and my family, and I just want to thank you very, very much. And you got my phone number. If you ever need anything, or even James, just give me a call. I'd be glad to talk to you. If you come down to San Diego, I'll let you come down with us on a Thursday morning. You can meet some great people in law enforcement that are retired. Great people.
The guy who does my bumper music, he is retired law enforcement, and he's I think he just turned 70. He writes the music. The band, has been really supportive to the show. I've been really supportive to the band, and they're all retired law enforcement. So, what? I really, have a lot of respect.
Yeah.
Well, my friend, Larry, you're always welcome to come back on, have your publicist get a hold of me, and we can always bring you back on at a later date.
It's an honor to talk to you. God bless you and your audience, and if you ever need anything, please call me. And James, you stay out of trouble, right? And
I will. Thank you so much.
It's an honor. God bless you both. I hope I see you both someday, okay?
Okay, Larry.
I really do.
You have a great weekend that's coming up, my friend.
You too.
Bye-bye.
You take care of yourself.
Okay, you take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, James, different topic tonight, but you know what? I found it refreshing. And, I wanted to bring out, we all have skeletons in our closet, and I wanted to bring out mine just to make it flow better. But, it hits home. So many young people they think it's okay to use drugs. I'm not into marijuana. That's my preference. It's legal in my state, least in the state. Now, occasionally the feds do bust, some of the shops that sell it, but very little. But I can honestly tell you, that is your decision if you want to smoke marijuana. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. But I am against what happens with young people because they'll start with marijuana. And I've seen it. They go from marijuana, and after a while, they don't get the feeling they got when they first started using it. And then they go into other stuff. Now, what I've seen with